Seems fair to me.
Well, if you don't know what fair is, you can't make it unacceptable by any reason.
Donnybrook is made possible by the members of the 9 Network.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another edition of Donnybrook. A little later tonight, we'll tell you how you can join us for Donny Bash, September 26, 2019. Great holiday gift, so stand by for details. But we do want to thank our friends at the Gatesworth for making this program possible, as you do week in and week out, and we're so grateful for that. Let's meet those assembled around the big table for this edition of Donnybrook, starting with the media veteran herself, Wendy Wiese, along with Mr. Bill McClellan from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, one of our Donnybrook founders, Ray Hartmann, and from St. Louis American and STLmag.com, Alvin Reid, who will kick off this segment. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving.
We did. Fantastic.
And I hope all our viewers did as well. And it's good to be back. And looks like it's really good to be pro soccer in St. Louis, Alvin, because the effort to get an MLS franchise is getting all approvals without debate in front of aldermanic committees in City Hall. It's very gung-ho. Doesn't seem to be a negative vote out there. However, is there or is there not a 2002 ordinance that stipulates that every sports stadium in the city receiving public support of any kind first has to get the vote of the electorate, the city of St. Louis? And so far, nobody except one guy, Professor John Ammon of SLU, is talking about that. Should there be a vote on all these public subsidies?
Yes, I do, especially if it's on the books as being law statute for the city of St. Louis. And I guess there would have been an effort to do so with the improvements for what is now Enterprise Center. Funny, it was Scott Trade Center, I guess, at the time, but now Enterprise Center. But they were basically, those that wanted to proceed were strong-armed into not doing so, because if they lost, they'd be saddled with the legal fees, which would, quite frankly, for some individuals, probably bankrupt them. I think that that's not fair, but at the same time, if that's the way it works, it should. This deal is so much better than the previous one 2 years ago. However, I think the people should get a chance to say exactly how they feel about it. As for everybody's gung-ho and thumbs up and all that, I've got two concerns. One is, how solvent is MLS? All right, can we find that out before they charge us this exorbitant entry fee into the league? Because if the entry fee is how MLS is surviving, every 3 years they add 2 teams, so they divvy up millions of dollars between all the franchises, and that's what keeps the whole thing afloat. Does St. Louis want to be a part of that if they're going to own the stadium? The deal, fine. I don't know about the city owning the stadium, because what is the future of this league? And I don't think anybody really knows that.
Well, Alvin, let me be a voice against democracy.
All right, here we go.
You know, I know that the citizens did pass the ordinance that we should vote on, the citizens of St. Louis should vote on any public help for a stadium. But to quote Dave Peacock, remember Dave Peacock?
We remember.
When he said, we need finality, when he was avoiding a public vote for that ill-fated football idea. On this one, it just seems, as long as the deal seems good and all the aldermen are behind it, and we do want to, we want the Taylors and Mr. Kavanaugh to have a solid effort to get a team. And if everybody else we're competing against has their deal in place, and St. Louis says, well, we think we have a deal, but it's going to, the uncertainty of a vote looms ahead of us, it's going to hurt the chances of getting a franchise.
And first of all, I salute John Ammon. He's a really important voice. He's probably right. I'm sort of in this.
You're going wobbly, right?
I'm going completely wobbly, because they're doing at least what I thought they should have done in the beginning, instead of the horrendous sales tax idea that they had that was really the general revenue idea, which was horrible. You know, I think this is a net positive economically for the city. I think it's a net neutral for the region. I think everybody's getting all excited. I think it's important for the region because it's psychologically nice to have a win, and that's great. I think that's good. I think the MLS, you know, they're not going to. there's no way to know for sure, but I'm guessing the MLS is as solid as any other sports league. I just think that we ought to, I think the city ought to go forward with it, but I don't think we should overstate
I agree with my esteemed colleagues. Vote Schmote. I think we really,
Thank you, Wendy.
I think we really need. I think we need this. I think we need this, and because it is. I mean, Steve Conway. When you have the mayor's chief of staff, practically. I mean, he wasn't crying, but according to David Hunn's column, he was gushing. You know, he was so excited, and it's never going to be any better than this. I think we're looking a gift horse in the mouth. I mean, I understand that might not be fiscally, prudent, but I think we really need
Well,
this.
the thing is, okay, we have already in the past said all the hospitals and the parks and the universities and the churches and the institutions, they're all tax-free. They don't have to pay any property taxes or any other taxes or sales taxes. And I guess now we've decided we're going to extend that to all sports stadia too. Something that was not the case when I first moved here 30 years ago. But now the city of St. Louis, which is strapped for cash, can't pick up trash, and can't hire enough police officers, we're saying there's one more entity, and that'll be sports arenas and stadiums, which will not be taxed.
The superintendent of the schools, Charlie, he was there. Mr. Adams, Dr. Adams, saying he favors this.
Well, in fairness, Charlie,
you're right. You're right on record. But what we've said is they don't have to pay any tax on the construction materials, no property tax, and it just that's what we use to fund services. So who should pay the taxes in the city of St. Louis?
Charles, your idealism is great, but the fact is, in the real world, if that's what municipalities do, there'd probably be another part of St. Louis that would be happy to give some tax deal to the Taylors and to others. And the Taylors, to their credit, are really stepping up on this. And what I do think is a positive for the city about this is that it's largely funded, as I understand it, by user fees at the stadium, which makes it a net positive for the city. What I keep telling people is don't act like this is some panacea that's going to change the economics of the region, because this thing is largely driven by local dollars, but it is a way for the region to support the city. And I think that's fine. And I think that's fine. And I agree. I think it's
It
fine.
is a cycle, and I love those Taylors, and it's great. It's just that we keep talking, as a conversation in the city, when we can stop the abatements in the city, and we have nice articles in the Business Journal and the Post-Dispatch and television programs like this, but we never do it. We never stop the abatements.
But Charles, they're going to stop when no one does them. That's the problem. You can't, unless you outlaw it at really the federal level, it's not going to stop.
Well, actually,
it's
ML,
what it is.
they aren't ubiquitous in
the difference is
in
you don't
the
have to
soccer
do
world.
general
Yes.
tax
Well, no, wait a
revenues.
minute.
All right.
Different municipalities have said no to different plans.
Right.
They
That's
have
as
stood
they
up and said,
should.
like, no, we're not doing that. So that could happen.
And we're
at
not
any
even
given time.
negotiating. We're
Right.
just saying whatever you
Right.
say.
And
it's
this
a
whole
good deal. And I
thing-
love the Taylors.
All right.
Don't get me wrong.
But
And
that's
Enterprise.
the point I'm going to make. It always comes down to this. Now, all of a sudden, the argument is you're anti-Taylor if you want to investigate a little bit more into this. I'm not anti-Taylor.
either.
I'm not anti-Kavanaugh. But look, somebody has got to watch out for the interest of the city of St. Louis, and the Board of Aldermen repeatedly does not do it.
I agree. Now, how about you, Bill? I want to ask you about a terrible tragedy that took place at the Catholic Supply Store on Manchester and Baldwin, I believe. Young woman Jamie Schmidt was killed, and the accused is Thomas Bruce, who is being charged with kidnapping, sexual assault, and with homicide. And we have an incoming prosecutor who is replacing Bob McCullough. Wesley Bell ran against the death penalty, said he wasn't going to enforce it. But Chief Tim Fitch, former St. Louis County Police Chief, soon to be a St. Louis County councilman, has said that he'd like Bell to send the case to the feds so there could be the death penalty. What do you think?
I think that'd be a bad precedent. I like Tim Fitch, but he was elected to the county council. Wesley Bell was elected prosecuting attorney. And I remember when Bob McCullough was asked to recuse himself during the Michael Brown stuff, and he wouldn't, and I supported him because he was elected. And Wesley Bell was elected. And the people knew his stance on capital punishment when they voted for him. And I think it would be a bad precedent to take certain cases and try to squeeze them into a federal jurisdiction so you can get a death penalty. This is a local case. Wesley Bell is the local guy. I'd leave it with him.
Well, and even though Wesley Bell ran on being an anti-death penalty official, who's to say that he wouldn't change his mind. I mean, we're all entitled to change our minds, and he is no different.
Well, I found that kind of amusing. I've heard of a prosecutor being second guess. This isn't even a first guess.
He's not even in office.
not even in office yet. I mean, we don't know to presume what he's going to do. Now, Tim Fitch was a really good police chief, and I think it's great that he's on the council. He's entitled to the opinion he has, but I think I've never heard of basically preemptively before the person takes office, assume that he's somehow not going to handle something properly. I'm very excited about Wesley Bell's future as a prosecutor. I think you got to let it play out.
Right, I agree with that 100%. And Tim Fitch is basically, one, he's speaking as a citizen because he's not in office yet, and two, even if he were on the city council, or county council, he basically has no say in what the prosecuting attorney does. He could be in that seat, and you could say to him, like, not your job, man.
The only thing is, now I'm trying to figure out, now that the voters have given the county council more control over the purse strings, does he have any power to control the purse strings for the prosecutor's office?
I have no idea.
We'll look into that. I don't know either.
There's one other deal. It's an old joke saying first the execution, then the trial. The person, as heinous as this is, we haven't even had a just it's a charge at this point.
Correct.
And
Right.
so,
Good
I mean,
point.
to
Very
argue
good point.
that
All right.
is a little ahead of the.
Tell you what, we are going to meet you, we hope, at the Sheldon September 26th next year, and we hope you join us. It's called Donny Bash, as you know, and here are the details.
For more than 30 years, you've been getting the lowdown on all the new folks in county government and state government and national government from the folks at Donnybrook, and they're going to just stay right where they are, and they're going to keep you informed and give you all the different points of view, because that's what Donnybrook has always done. We're delighted to have you with us tonight, and we'd like to invite you right now to support us here at the 9 Network and support Donnybrook with your membership pledge to Channel 9. Join us at that $12 per month sustaining membership, and here's something very special. 2 tickets to Donny Bash. You know all about that, of course. This is when you get to see Donnybrook taped live at the Sheldon Memorial, and you see all the folks there live and in person. You'll get to rub elbows with them afterwards at a little reception. You'll get the 2 tickets and the mug with that $12 monthly sustaining membership to the 9 Network. Join us if you prefer at the $5 sustaining membership. We'll send you 1 ticket. Maybe you'd like to come solo. Well, you can do it. And that's a $5 a month sustaining membership to the 9 Network. Join us at, you can also get the 9 mug when you join us at the $5 sustaining membership level. You can take your pick. You can either have 1 ticket to the Donny Bash, or you can have the 9 mug. And then, of course, we also have the 9 magazine, which is yours. That comes with everybody with a $60 and above membership pledge to the 9 Network. So give us a call right now. We have a lovely bunch of folks from Express Scripts on the phone. They are waiting to take your pledge to make you the next new member of Channel 9. Maybe you would like to, if you're already a 9 member, maybe you'd like to re-up. Maybe you'd like to get those tickets to Donny Bash. Well, you can call us and sign up at the level to get your tickets. We'd be happy to do that for you right now. We're going to go over to my pal Marianne Carson and some of the stars from Donnybrook. Marianne.
Thank you, Will. I totally am surrounded. I love it. Thank you
we're
so
stars,
much.
all
Yes,
right.
you are. And we kid about this, but you know it's really true. Giving tickets to Donny Bash as a holiday gift is such a great idea. You know, and if you've got somebody kind of picky on your list, it really works, doesn't it? It's quite an evening.
I think so, and your holiday shopping can be done in the next 5 minutes when you think about it.
Yes.
And we haven't had any refunds, have we? And through the years, nobody has said, hey, I want my money back.
I don't think anybody ever has.
Right.
And I think one of the fascinating things is this set literally is transported to the stage of the Sheldon.
We carry it ourselves.
Yes, you do. Like a little army of ants.
The ties and John McGuire's hat and all. But I mean,
it.
sure stuff. I know you're thinking that it is late November, you know, Christmas, but sure as September 26th rolls around, there are people there who said, like, I got these tickets at Christmas time.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's
Yeah,
amazing that it really does happen. This is a great time to call.
And what's really funny is husbands buying the tickets for their wives for Christmas, wives buying the tickets for their husbands for Christmas. So
Very
we've got
nice.
that going for us. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, that's kind of romantic.
There you go.
Right?
No better way to say I love you.
I love you.
I was going to say.
The Donna Bash ticket.
There you go. Right. Right.
But it's true. Because
Spreading the knowledge, saving romances. That's Donnybrook.
Exactly right.
Who needs a luxury car
we
with
supposed
a
to
red
just-
ribbon on
Right, with a big giant bow.
it? Imagine
got
her
you
walking
all.
outside and seeing the Donny Bash tickets with a big bow on them on that snowy morning.
Can I leave?
On the dashboard of the new car.
In the
On the dashboard of the new
Yeah.
car. There you go.
I don't know. I mean, we're supposed to argue here. I mean, there's a lot of good reasons. There are so many good reasons to support Channel 9, for real. I mean, all you
Yeah,
gotta
there
do
are.
is see the program. You think Donny Bash being romance? I guess that could be.
Honestly,
That's cool.
I'm
That's cool.
always so
no, it's
surprised.
cool.
Hey,
It
work
is.
with us.
I tell you what, it's just great for us. I mean, it is great for us. Selfishly, that we have the audience really makes a show that night.
Amen.
Yeah, they
And,
do.
so
They absolutely do.
I just didn't realize, maybe they can get the lights a little lower or something. I didn't know it was a little.
Wouldn't that be great?
Candlelight.
You know, at the last Donny Bash, Charlie asked, "Who here has been to every Donny Bash?" And my wife raised her hand.
That was romantic.
It was a romantic thing. It counts as a night out for us, right?
That does.
Well, sure it does. And not only a night out, we talk about how exciting it is to see and to be in the audience for the live broadcast. Talk a little bit about that, because I know I can say, hey, if you've never done this before, you don't know what you're missing. But how does it feel with the audience when you're there as opposed to here in the studio?
We just like to watch Alvin perform.
Yeah.
Right.
For the rest
Yeah,
of
we're
it.
just fans
But,
of Alvin, like
no,
everybody else.
It's just great. It's just energizing for us.
It is.
And again,
Yeah.
seeing us is not, that part of it is not all that romantic, but maybe the whole night is.
Oh, it is. Well, it starts early. I mean, when the doors open, people can be there. There are refreshments.
It is.
And,
a
and
nice
people come in exuding such energy, and everybody's positive and smiling. There's no surly faces. Nobody's upset about anything. It's just a great night of community and fun and laughter. Hopefully.
Well put.
I had some friends who came for the first time, and the live TV experience, they literally did say, like, that was like really cool. You had told me that it's kind of like neat, but
Yeah.
they said, like, it really was, Alvin. So
You've got to experience. So take our word for it and the word from all of the Donnybrookers. So let's go back to Will, who's going to talk a little bit more about getting you in the audience for Donny Bash.
Well, it's kind of cool to see them coming out when they're introduced for the Donny Bash. Next time we need some of the fireworks, like they do in football stadiums, or some fire. That would be good. I think that would kind of get things off to a great start. The way that you see the Donnybrook folks chit-chat there with Marianne, it's the same way they are in person. You will really have a wonderful time watching the show be taped to see it all get set up, and then actually talking to the folks. You'll get to meet them. You'll be amazed at how they're down-to-earth, great people, great professionals, and they'll be happy to see you. They love to wade into the crowd at Donny Bash, and you can be there with a $12 per month ongoing contribution to the 9 Network. $12 a month. Put it on your Visa, Discover, or MasterCard. It automatically takes it out every month. You'll never miss it. You'll forget all about it. And it keeps Channel 9 going and growing the way it has since 1954 and supports programs like Donnybrook. At the $5 sustaining membership, we'll send you 1 ticket to come to Donny Bash. By the way, that happens on September 26th of next year, of 2019, September 26th. So you got a lot of time to make your plans. If you want to make this a holiday gift during this season, or a St. Patrick's Day gift, well, you certainly can, because there's plenty of time to make your plans. Call us right now. Support Donnybrook. We're going back to the rest of the program.
Thanks so much, and we'll see you in September. Ray Hartmann, you know a lot about transportation and business and everything else. And what do you make?
No and no, but go
He
ahead.
drives a car.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you.
What do you make of
I
the
have a
loop
license.
trolley, which kind of had an inauspicious start because It didn't pay the bond, so it couldn't get into University City. And the first day there was a shooting, which literally derailed the effort. They had to stop running the trolley, but now it is running. Now I'm talking about the $51 million federally funded and locally funded trolley that goes from the History Museum to the Loop in University City.
Well, I've always been a supporter from the beginning, written about the trolley. I would say the path from point A to point B has been not the straightest of lines, and there's been a lot of cynicism, I think, about it, and I think understandably. I mean, there's been a lot of the construction, took its toll. There's been a lot of issues, but what I've always thought, and I think now, is let's not have a self-fulfilling prophecy that makes it. I think people, and I haven't written it yet, so I can't speak from personal experience, but I think we got to give it a chance. I think it is not. One of the things you got to remember is there was a competition for like 60 cities, and we were one of 5 or 6 that got money for this kind of whatever they call the connecting loop. The Kansas City's got one. I mean, these things can work. People ought to give it a chance. I think there's a lot of development that's already sprung up around it. And so let's hope that it's successful. Give it a chance.
Well, I agree to give it a chance, Ray. It's been so much fun, too. I mean, it's been such a St. Louis story.
Yes.
They get it running, and the first thing it does is knock a windshield, mirror, and there's the engineer going, who knew? So close to this, who knew? And then when it starts running, and it even had, I think, the fire chief of University City on it as they head off to University City. Stop.
The
you can't get it.
permits,
I mean, it's just been great. And I like Joe Edwards, and I hope it works. But it's been fun so far. Worth the money so
You
far.
just like it for the
I mean,
columns.
honestly, because I've always felt if I ever have any question about anything that Joe Edwards is involved in, I feel like a heretic. I feel like I, should be thrown in the sea. But I don't think anybody else could have pulled this off. I think he's the only one, and of course the federal government.
I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, this whole thing is like, okay, now it is running.
Your daughter was on.
Yeah, my daughter
So
was
was
on
mine.
it. Made a little video, going by. Okay, all right, I get it. My concern now is all right, we've got it running. I don't know if it's supposed to make a profit, but will it pay for itself? Because the money has been
Not
spent.
in our lifetime.
Right, the money has been
I
spent
don't
building it. What keeps it running, and what keeps the maintenance going? And there were so many problems getting to this point. I think you're being kind of naive if you say all problems have now stopped.
Well, it only has limited service, Thursday through Sunday, I think, and certain hours of the day. So, hey, we paid for it, or the country's paid for it. Thank you. Let's hope it works, and we'll see what happens.
And Highway 40 doesn't pay for itself either.
All right. Now, Wendy, I want to ask you about the Clean Missouri bill, which had 2 sides. One was the ethics. It was passed by the voters, I think 62% in early November. And this amendment to the Constitution is going to put limits on lobbying and contributions to politicians, but also it's going to pick a state demographer who's going to try and align the districts, state representative and state senate districts in the state to, be more competitive, because there are a lot of them that have been gerrymandered to favor the incumbent, both Republicans and Democrats. Now, according to the New York Times and NPR and the Post-Dispatch, there are efforts to send this back to the ballot box to revise it. What do you think about that?
Well, Tony Messenger wrote about this group, Fair Missouri, which is taking another shot at turning back this constitutional amendment and the will of the voters. Just like with the puppy mills, just like with concealed carry, this should really be, people should be very, very angry about this. And I don't know if they're just simply unaware of what's happening, because they're back to the gerrymandering attempts. That hasn't, so before the thing even takes effect, they're already dismantling it.
You're absolutely right. The politicians are basically going to they're just going to overrule. The whole point of this was to clean up in some small way politics and the politicians are going to have none of it.
Right.
Well, no, let's correct that because they're going to send it back to the ballot. So
We already voted. It was
$60,000
they have
is for it.
voted, and we have a constitution which can be amended at the ballot box, and it cannot be amended if the voters disagree. So they are doing what people do, and they go back again and again, and they get another vote.
What
It's not
number?
that unusual.
If 62% is enough,
If that's not
if
enough.
that's what number would make people satisfied that the voters are
Okay, Ray, there were times when we, for example, voted down the gasoline tax in the past, but it was brought back to the voters. You had no problems with that, putting a gasoline tax on the ballot again.
But you
And
don't
that
see,
happens
you
all
don't see the
time.
irony of clean Missouri, that people voted for this amendment, and now it's being dismantled. I mean,
And you think like maybe people in urban areas that supported it, and you think to yourself like, well, you know what? I'm going to go to my congressman. Oh, that's right. My congressman, Lace Clay, he was against it. And so was Emmanuel Cleaver on the other side of the state. And you're just like you said, like, man, these people say, what's the line from Blazing Saddles? Oh, this is serious. We're going to lose our phony baloney jobs. They aren't looking at anything other than, wait a minute. You mean I might not get reelected off this?
No, but hang on.
No.
Lacey Clay's district wouldn't be affected. It's only state
I'm
reps.
just saying, that's
state
fine.
district.
So-
I understand that, but he and the congressman on the other side of the state were both against it. Why are they against it?
Well,
It takes a certain courage, though, Alvin, to be against clean Missouri. And the idea of reforming politics. No.
No.
well, it's
Right,
called Clean Missouri because, of course, if you're against it, you must be against things that are
Yeah,
clean.
Yes.
you want
But
a dirty
in
Missouri.
this case,
Right.
I think that Clay and Cleaver and others have a point that the number of African-American state representatives will be diminished because currently there are a lot of them who enjoy a plurality of maybe 75% of Democrats in their districts. But if we have this new, more partisan plan, and let's say Democrats represent 51% of the state, then those districts will have to be more 51%, and they'll be more competitive.
It presumes that black people can't win in a district that's mixed.
Have you been to Missouri?
No, I disagree
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
they'll
premise
win in Southwest
that
Missouri.
if they-
That really works.
No, it's around here. Because that's just saying, like you say, everybody can win except a black candidate, okay? And then two, now you're also saying that somebody there said, like, I'm looking at the state house and the state senate, and I would rather have 2 black Democrats in each one of those than 12 Democrats overall. I would rather have less Democrats.
That's what they're saying. That is what
That's
they're saying.
exactly,
I'd rather
that's
have
exactly what they're
exactly
saying.
what
Democrats.
they're saying.
And that's
That's
not
what they're
okay.
saying.
And that's not okay.
Well, okay, but none of this will change if the voters don't want it to change, and that's called democracy.
I don't-
What do you mean?
Lady and gentlemen.
No, because
Oh, my
we
God.
just had democracy. 62. This was even, at least with the concealed carry and the puppy mills, which were outrageous. At least it was an urban-rural thing, and
Right.
the rural legislators, just
the
wouldn't
difference
accept
there?
it.
Those
And-
are statutes, though. They didn't amend the Constitution.
you're
That
right.
was the difference.
This is democracy. It was 62% voted for it. It's like can't we just move on?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
A do-over.
That's the game.
Well,
That's
a
the
do-over,
kind
I
of stuff
think.
we did when we were
Win.
5.
When we
Yes,
get
that's
to
exactly
85%,
We did
maybe we'll
that when we
consider
were-
that
Don't.
democracy.
Wow.
Okay. Let's. I wish we were going to the phones later, but we will. We're going to ask you to join us for Donny Bash around the corner. Let's see, Alvin. I want to ask you because you did work for the St. Louis Regional Chamber and Growth Association.
it
at
was
one
Commerce
point.
and Growth Association when
Yeah,
I was there.
exactly. A report came out in the Business Journal today that said that we spend about $78 million per year collectively through organizations like the East-West Gateway Council of Governments, the RCGA, the Regional Business Association, Civic Progress, and others to try and grow the economy. And yet, out of about 200 top American cities, St. Louis ranks about 150th when it comes to job creation, 150th in wage creation, about 100th or so when it comes to increasing high-tech GDP. That despite all this money and effort, we're just not really cutting it. What's going on?
Well, and the only one I can really speak to is, like, say, RCGA. I was not of, anyone of significant importance while I was there, but saw the inner workings of what it did. I've said this on the show. I did come away with, what is it exactly that they do? Okay, what exactly was the job of RCGA? Well, then, over the years, a lot has gone on. I think that the first step has to be that the private businesses that invest in this organization and probably others need to ask some hard questions, like what do I get out of it? More importantly, what does the region get out of it? And I just don't think that has really been asked, and maybe this report will finally people will say, like, do we do this just to do it, or are we expecting some real result? And I to this day, I can't see exactly why so many of them exist and why they are not called to task for, like, hey, all kind of goals. Yeah. How many of them have been reached?
Well, aren't the business members, association is just to benefit them, right? To keep them going. I mean, it's really not to grow the region, is it?
That's what they say.
Well, right. I think if you look at the charter for maybe like an RCGA, it does not say it's for the benefit or protection of individual members.
Well,
but if it shakes out like that, you can't ignore it.
There are a lot of factors that determine economic development, and I'm not defending there's obviously way too many groups all over the place, just like we have too many municipalities, yada, yada, yada. But you've got to look at the factors that affect economic development if you compare us nationally, which are, climate, the state we're in terms of how unprogressive Missouri is. There's a million factors.
But if your job
we're an aging urban area.
If you say our job is to create jobs and you don't create enough jobs, then you fail. Because you're the one who made your statement
Okay, hold on those thoughts. Maybe we can get back to this topic on the other side of these important messages, because we want to invite you to join us for Donny Bash, September 26th of next year. Great holiday gift. Here are some important details.
The cast of Donnybrook, they are a great bunch to be around, and you have the opportunity to spend an evening with them, not only watching a live broadcast, but also receptions before and after where you get to meet the folks from Donnybrook. Hi, I'm Marianne Carson. We want to get you there, and the 9 Network is offering a great deal for you. For 2 tickets, plus one of our 9 Network mugs, you will have those 2 tickets and a mug at $12 ongoing monthly contribution as a sustaining member of the 9 Network. Now, each ticket is $5 a month as a sustaining member, and we also will offer the mug, if you like, at $5 a month. But the best deal really for the 2 tickets and the mug is as a sustaining member at $12 a month. And you heard the Donnybrookers talking, and at this time of holiday gift giving, what better than to have a certificate arrive in time for a holiday gift that says you're going to Donny Bash and you'll be getting a wonderful mug. That will be sent to you, and then of course when we're a few weeks out from the actual Donny Bash on that Thursday, September 26th, you'll actually receive the tickets. But they'll send you a certificate just in time for holiday gift giving. And as you can see there at the Sheldon, and the Sheldon Concert Hall is so cool, parking is absolutely a dream, no problem. You can get there as soon as the doors open at 5:30. Refreshments will be served, and you can enjoy the Donnybrook cast before the live broadcast. And then you will be in the audience. You know there's not a bad seat at the Sheldon Concert Hall. And you'll actually see the whole set from Donnybrook transformed, and the cast members are introduced one at a time, and then they get going. And as Wendy Wiese said, this year's Donny Bash was great. The energy of the audience members coming in anticipation of seeing that broadcast. We want you to be there. Give us a call right now at 800-568-9099 or go online at 9net.org. That's NINEnet.org. My good friend Will Shaw is on the other side of the studio with the folks from Donnybrook. Let's go and join them all right now.
Well, this is great. I've been sitting here with the Donnybrook folks for about 5 minutes, and it's fun. What do they do when they're just sitting around, when they're just relaxing? They argue. It's swell. You were very upset that on the videotape.
We weren't upset. We were admiring Alvin.
That Alvin gets all
the Alvin Reid show. We weren't upset. We were kind of like
someone referred to you as like the Mick Jagger. Like when you go out, you're like Mick Jagger.
Well, when there's a live audience and you're on a stage, then technically you're supposed to perform, right? But we all do. We all have fun. You can be a part of it too. 800-568-9099. It's not too early. Buy tickets. Great Christmas gift, great New Year's gift, great Hanukkah gift. I didn't mean to point at Ray when I said Hanukkah gift. That was terrible. God, that was good. What is that? I feel sorry.
I've been stereotyped.
Yeah.
Great Kwanzaa gift.
Oh, yeah. Great
Yeah.
Mother's Day gift.
I have been so profiled. You know, and the thing is, people come up to me all the time and say, "You think you could get? Do you know Alvin? What's Alvin like?"
Yeah.
You know, when I see the no, seriously, we all have fun hamming it
Great
up
time.
at Donny Bash, and we really do appreciate people supporting not only our show but the station. And
Amen.
I'll tell you.
I love it when you guys come running out there. You know, they introduce you into. I mean,
Well,
it's.
Will, let's be honest.
Come on
Do we
now.
really run out
Well,
there?
there
No.
might have been a day. when-
Maybe, yeah, there was
Kind of a
day.
faster waddle.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, that's why I was singing some fireworks, some fire. You know, that would help.
Yeah.
You know, it would kind of liven
Those
it up.
steps get a little longer every year.
They
you
do,
know?
don't they?
Yeah, right.
yeah, they do. But everywhere we go, and it's it is a universal experience for all of us. That people who listen and watch Donnybrook and have for years also can give you really the lineup almost Monday through Sunday. In terms of the programming that they love, that they never miss, that they record, they DVR, whatever, and everyone thinks that Channel 9, the 9 network, is a treasure, and it is, and so that's what tonight is about.
And Victoria is just about to start again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a great series.
And Dr. Martin coming back in January.
Right.
Yes,
Talking
because
about that
now we
tonight,
get asked
January
about
3rd.
that program, I think, more than any other. And the funny part is, you're just like, say, like, hey, Alvin, how you doing? Love Donnybrook. Why don't you guys show Doc Martin anymore? And you're thinking, like, well, you know, it's like made in England, and they kind of decide what it's going to be on. It isn't like we sit around and say, like, hey, hold that Doc Martin so we can get more TV time.
I tell him Ray doesn't like it.
Yeah, I hear you say that. I'll tell you what Ray does like is the NewsHour.
Oh, yes.
It's a really
yes.
well balanced,
Quality.
seriously, high
And
quality.
Lisa
place.
Desjardins was just in town, and she does wonderful work. And I think our last Donny Bash was the best.
It was
we had a really good vibe
really
going
amazing.
with all the viewers.
Well, the next one is September 26th. Got plenty of time. It can be a holiday gift. It can be whatever kind of gift you want. But we need you to get on the phone right now and join the 9 Network and support Donnybrook and get those tickets. Let's go back over to Mary Ann. She'll tell us all about it.
Thank you, Will. And I just heard one of our volunteers, Phil, on the phone asking a viewer, have you ever been to a Donny Bash? And that brings me to a very good point. If you have been to a Donny Bash before, don't be shy. Come on back, because the folks from Donnybrook love to see people who have been there before. So as I say, don't be shy. Come on back. And if you've never been to a Donny Bash, you don't know what you're missing. The energy, it's just totally different watching a broadcast being in a live audience right there. Let's get you to that Donny Bash. The date is on Thursday, September 26th of the new year. It seems like a long time, but it's going to be here before we know it. So in time for holiday gift giving, it's kind of a romantic gift for the holidays. 2 tickets and the mug to Donny Bash. And here, the mug to Channel 9 and the 2 tickets to Donny Bash. And you can be there with your significant other, with a good friend, a guest, for $12 ongoing monthly contributions as a sustaining member of the 9 Network. Now, we also offer tickets. They are $5 a month as a sustaining member. And of course, if you would like to receive the mug instead of the ticket, just let our volunteers know. But that wonderful package of the 2 tickets and the mug for a sustaining membership of $12 a month. And you'll get that certificate right in time for the holidays. It says, guess what? You have tickets to see Donny Bash in September. So don't wait. This is a perfect opportunity. The holidays are going to be gone and by us before you know it. And what better way to say, I care, I love you, than to give a membership to the 9 Network. Give us a call right now.
Thank you so much. And we should continue our conversation, Ray Hartmann, where, you know, Nashville spends a lot less money in all these organizations
Right.
that ostensibly create jobs and grow the region. They spend a lot less money than St. Louis does. We got a lot of overlapping organizations, but we're just not creating the jobs or the population that a city like Nashville is.
It's possible, but it's also like taking a baseball team and that doesn't have good players and blaming the manager. I mean, it's hard to. There's too many variables that affect economic development than just to say, oh, it's the agencies that are failing. There are a lot of things working against St. Louis as an aging market. I don't know. I'm not defending them. I say
but if
it's
we
hard to
have
isolate that.
if we have
I don't
more
know.
agencies accomplishing less
Right,
with more money, that just doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it doesn't. I understand.
And we
I just don't.
look. What is our issue when it comes to 99 municipalities? We have to have all of these regional agencies working at cross purposes. Why can't we?
I don't disagree with you. I'm saying you can't. It's hard to isolate.
You kind of made my argument. All right, so we have a losing team, okay, and we said we're going to get our team together. The front office in these other cities have got 10 people in it. Ours is 30. They make a whole lot of money. 5 years from now, if we're losing more games than we're winning, all of them are fired. Y'all go get new jobs.
Well,
right?
they'll claim that, yes, we're 150th, but without this money, we'd have been 180. It's like Westmoreland saying, okay,
and by
they
the way,
got
I
South
do think
Vietnam,
we have
but you
too.
really want
I agree that
California.
we have too many agencies. I just don't know how you even get your head around what the problem.
Ray's probably right, because there was a time when our downtown St. Louis partnership, almost to a person, like 5 or 6 individuals, key individuals, moved to Portland, Oregon. Right? It was under Kim Kimbrough, and they had Jody Jordan, Sheena Shipley, and others moved from St. Louis to Portland. Now, let's face it, our downtown has had some challenges. Meanwhile, with the same group, Portland's downtown just exploded with popularity and population and jobs. So maybe it's not the apparatus you have. Maybe it's, whether you're right to work, what's your tax look like, what part of the country, are you cool? I don't know.
Well, and I do think, as I say, I don't disagree with you. I think that we have too many agencies. It's just that I don't know how you go about obviously we'd be better off, I think, with one larger government, for example, but we're not going to have it, so it's what we have.
I also think that we can never underestimate the impact, and I hate to go back to 2014, August of 2014, but of the Michael Brown situation and what happened here and the billions of dollars worth of negative publicity that has ingrained St. Louis in a certain light in the minds of an entire generation. And I do think we're going to be fighting that for a while.
That is
but
absolutely
if
a great point.
If I sign up to improve job growth, stability in downtown St. Louis and the region, if I sign up for that job and I'm making 6 figures and all that, I should be judged on what. I don't want to hear Ferguson. I don't want to hear it's not 80 degrees. I don't want to hear that.
But
the
Ferguson's
job
real,
I signed
Alvin.
up for.
Ferguson.
No, well, so in other words, the people who are making all these high salaries,
talking about
they
their
don't have
salary.
to do nothing. Just cash checks and say, oh, it's
No.
Ferguson's fault. Cash my check.
These organizations are, they tell us that they're here to grow the region. I think that they are, as Bill said, to protect the interest of the members.
Correct.
Well,
But
and
they
so-
in
Okay,
fairness, there
now we
is
gotta move
some
on.
progress.
All right.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
There's
there's
a lot of great
progress.
things
There
going
are some
on.
good
There
things
are a
going
lot
on.
of great
Vis-a-vis
things
our
going on, like
competition.
soccer.
Wendy Wiese, I want to ask you about texting and driving. There's a measure or there's going to be when the General Assembly gets back to Jefferson City in January. They're going to try and ban texting and driving. Right now, you can text and drive in the state of Missouri unless you're under 21. So they want that for everybody. You think the police have too much to do. You don't want this law in the books, do you?
No, I absolutely want this law on the books. That's like saying you can drink and drive if you're over 21, because honestly, it has the same. We have all had these near-death experiences on the highway, and I'm really not making light of it. It's terrifying when you see it happen to me on the way down here today. Somebody is veering into my lane, and this is not a country road. They're doing 65 miles an hour. They say that it's as impaired. You're as impaired as if you've had 2 martinis or a couple of glasses of wine if you're texting. And so for the state of Missouri to basically say, oh, well, if you endanger the lives of a family in a minivan, it's okay as long as you're over 21. That's utterly ridiculous. And I think it is a life-saving measure, and it definitely should be on the budget.
And quiet as it's kept, Kirkwood outlawed texting like years ago, and people tell me, you know what, I don't text in Kirkwood simply because I'm nearly not fearful of getting a ticket, but I do realize that they took the step of saying, like, don't do it here,
Right.
and people don't do it. So if you do it statewide, that would stop people from doing it. Not everyone, but it would have an
Look
impact.
at Mothers Against Drunk Drivers
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the impact that's had on.
Wait, Charlie,
Let me ask you this. Have you, honestly, if you've been on 64 or 44, 55 or 70 in the city, have you even seen a police officer in the last 3 years?
Well, I'm
Yes.
just talking
Well, yes, I
street to
have.
street.
Have you really?
Right.
I've seen,
Uh,
yes,
'cause
I've
I
seen
haven't
police.
seen anybody
I've
pulled
seen
over.
police
I have.
officers, and I.
Well, you should
I
see
have,
police
I have
officers.
certainly.
Well, okay. You
You're
know,
driving too
it's
fast,
really,
Charlie.
if
You're
you make,
blurred.
are you trying? Do I understand you're making the case for distracted driving?
I'm
'Cause
making
that's
the
what
case
this
that
is
it's another
about.
law that won't be enforced.
Well, it's still it's either you're the. I didn't know it would be. Maybe we should have one of those constitutional amendments that they can overturn. But it's a question of are you for or against distracted driving? I mean, I don't know how you can possibly. Like as Wendy said, I don't know how you cannot be against distracted driving.
Okay, well, I'm
and
against
that
the
doesn't
law.
say that any of us have been perfect about this, but I think it should be against.
With 2 minutes to go, Ray, I want to ask you about your buddy Kim Tucci's plan to restore the tax credits to lure Hollywood here. You know, we're not making any movies, even when movies are set in Missouri, like 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Wasn't even filmed
North
here.
Carolina.
Yeah, There you go. Well, we need tax credits. Kim Tucci, the head of the Film Commission, says.
Absolutely right. I wrote about this at the magazine when Kim was very upset with Jay Nixon for doing away with the tax credits. He was right then, he's right now. I mean, the idea that we wouldn't, particularly with all the kinds of concerns we have about our image, Wendy's very well
Not my image.
put
The point that
Wendy pointed out.
My
Wendy's
image is unsalvageable.
We need to market Wendy.
No, but
I'm just saying,
oh God,
as
we
our-
got enough
yeah.
trouble.
It comes-
But with the advent
No,
of these subscriptions, and Kim Tucci did have, I mean, he was really kind of prescient in terms of being able to see that the old studio systems aren't even in existence anymore, and it's the Netflix and the Hulus and the Amazons. So there are more productions. You've got Ozark being filmed in Georgia. That's offensive.
And this is for economic development.
I agree with Kim Tucci and you guys on this, but actually that 3 billboards outside of
Ebbing.
That was North Carolina looked beautiful.
I know.
I had people say to me, "What a beautiful
Wow,
state you
Missouri
live
is,
in."
and you
No,
said,
thanks.
and you
All
said
right.
thank you.
Yeah.
Real quick. All right,
Real
you give
quick,
all the
10
tax credits
seconds.
you want to. The state is going to agree to look at gambling in the state of Missouri. There's your tax credits right there. Extra money for the state of Missouri. Mike Parsons,
solved it all.
please don't. If you're not for it,
Okay.
stay out the way.
Alvin, you'll have the last word for this segment anyway. In a moment, we'll tell everybody how to join us. Don't forget, you can join us at Donny Bash. Those details are just around the corner. Thanks so much. And now our credits to see who actually put this program together.
Donnybrook is made possible by the members of the 9 Network.
I can't imagine any better way to celebrate such a popular show as Donnybrook than being right there at the Sheldon Concert Hall for the next Donny Bash. Now, it's not until Thursday, September 26th of next year, but you know, holiday gift giving this is a time of year when you want to remember someone with something special, or you may have somebody on your gift list that's really hard to buy for. Couldn't be better. 2 tickets to Donny Bash and also a 9 Network mug. And you can have that as a sustaining member of the 9 Network for $12 a month. And we will send you a certificate in time for gift giving that says you have 2 tickets coming to Donny Bash in September of 2019. And then a few weeks before the show, you will actually get those tickets in the mail. It's a glorious evening. You know, we talk about, boy, if you've never been in the audience for Donny Bash, it really is so totally different. I know Alvin was telling me he had guests at the last Donny Bash, and afterwards they said, you know, it really is different being here in the audience. And you can see right now with Wendy and Bill being introduced to the audience, and here's Ray taking stage, and of course Alvin, no ham at all there, we love it. And there's Charlie. And they transform, literally, just pick up the set and take it over to the Sheldon Concert Hall. Now the doors are gonna open for you at 5:30. And what that means is that you can park, come on inside. Parking's a dream at the Sheldon. And you can partake of refreshments. They'll have a cash bar there. So it's really a great evening. It starts with that, and then you'll be part of the live broadcast, and then the reception goes afterwards until, well, I've known a couple of the guys from Donnybrook to close down the Sheldon before. So, hey, if everyone is having a good time, the party just continues. So it's a wonderful way. If you've been there before, come on back again. And if you've never been, let's make this the first time. Give us that call right now, won't you? Or join us online. Let's go over to the folks from Donnybrook and my good friend Will Shaw.
All right, I'm still here with the Donnybrook gang, and we're waiting for you to call because we need you to get those tickets to come to Donny Bash. That's on September 26th. The folks will all be there. Anybody have a story, a really favorite person that you've met at a Donny Bash, or someone that really sticks out in your mind? Because I know you guys wade into the crowds and just get to know folks.
I remember writing about a fella who had some stones, colored glass, that he said were from ancient Egypt, like his grandfather had been involved in King Tut's tomb or something.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, and then he lived out in outstate Missouri. And so I talked to him, and we ended up going to the art museum, and so one of their experts looked at it and said, yes, this is ancient Egyptian glass.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So that was interesting. I kept 2 of them. No, I didn't. No,
Did Ray's kindergarten teacher show up? Or
Well,
I had
both
a
of you
teacher.
have had
I
teachers.
think my first grade teacher appeared when I had no idea.
Yeah.
But he said, like, I miss so and so, and somebody said, like, I know exactly who you are. You know, like you're my first grade teacher.
Yeah, I always love seeing my parole officer. It's always just so.
I always
It always
knows
chokes
where
me
you
up.
are.
I thought it was your
Always chokes
probation
me
officer.
up.
I didn't know that you actually did
Always
time.
chokes me up. Yeah.
I thought I was doing a favor by calling her out for the thing, and then I realized after I said she was my 5th grade teacher, and everybody's looking at her, kind of shaking their heads. It's like, probably didn't do her any great favor.
No,
but
it's
we have all our regulars, Bill from Rock Hill, Mike from Leslie, and all the. It's
People
fun
from
to see the
Greenville,
people that call in,
Illinois.
Donny
On 2 occasions, I think elected official Steve Ellman, the county executive for St. Charles, has been with us.
True.
And then one time there was Terry Crouppen, I think.
Terry
was in
Crouppen.
Terry
town.
Crouppen has been there.
Right.
Just in case we fell off the stairs, he would hand us a
Right.
business card.
Pretty much.
Whoa, what
Yeah.
a shot that is.
Well, that's
It'll only be.
so you get
It'll be
celebrities.
just barely over 13 months before the election, so we'll be
That's right. You'll
trying.
have
I mean,
something to
figure
talk
out. I don't know
about.
who's going to be running against President Pence at that point, but
Well, that should get a
see.
rise out of the audience, I would think.
Always does.
Always does.
Absolutely.
it's hashtag Donnybrook STL.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Donny Bash coming up on September 26th, and all the folks will be there. You'll get to see them. The set is there. They put it all together. You see the technicians, you see the lights and the cameras, and then you see the Donny Bash folks come on out and do their thing. You watch the taping, and then afterwards you actually get to rub elbows like I'm doing right now with these folks. And, well, what more could you ask for? That's all. That's all I can say.
There you go.
There's nothing that exceeds
I was going to say,
There you go.
there
Pretty much.
really are some good reasons to come.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's drinks too.
There's food and beverages.
Food and drink. And by the way, don't forget the Shell is just the best.
Absolutely.
Acoustically, and we always tend to underestimate our own history in St. Louis. And what
It's
a
amazing.
great place the Shell is. It
Yeah.
really is.
Right.
You always feel like I always feel like those beautiful stained glass panels are going to just pop right out because the crowd gets so raucous and just has such a good time. But everything's always fine.
Well, you share a stage that Albert Einstein was once on at one time, and that building probably looks at us and says, like, why are they here?
Yeah.
Right, what is this?
I don't know. Einstein was on Donnybrook?
He was on that
He was.
stage.
You were on
right.
vacation.
You were, right.
I
You
saw
were on
Taj Mahal
vacation.
there a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Well, there you go. All of those wonderful folks, and now these as well. It's a place for all people, absolutely. So, give us a call, support Donnybrook, and get your tickets for Donny Bash. Going back now to Marianne Carson.
You bet. Thank you. And that phone number again is 1-800-568-9099, or you can always join us online. The gifts that we mentioned before are still available online, and that's 9net.org. That's N-I-N-E net.org. Now, we will have you there in the audience for Donny Bash on that Thursday, September 26th, as a sustaining member of the 9 Network with a $12 ongoing monthly contribution. That gets you 2 tickets plus the white 9 Network mug. That's a really handsome mug. And that's a great way of saying, hey, I hope you have a wonderful year to somebody special on your gift list. You'll get that certificate in time for holiday gift giving. And then a few weeks before the actual Donny Bash, you'll get the tickets in the mail. It couldn't be easier. And of course, the tickets themselves, if you just want 1 ticket, that's at $5 a month as a sustaining member of the 9 Network. But boy, what a deal. At $12 a month, you get 2 tickets plus the mug to the 9 Network. And that is a great way of saying, of us saying thank you to you for supporting a great program just like Donnybrook. They've tried to do Donnybrook in other cities, but you know what? It just isn't the same. St. Louis is very unique. We're awfully proud of Donnybrook. We're proud of you if you've been a supporter of the 9 Network. You've made it possible for us to enjoy Donnybrook for another season. Give us that call right now.